Welcome. Soni Irabor Live today takes a look at the state of the nation as usual, but don't forget that we're still expecting that the best is yet to come for the Super Eagles on Tuesday when they face Argentina. But tonight, we're looking at how the nation braces up for, one, the blessings that will come from there, and two, in case of eventuality, there's still work to be done in Nigeria. What's the state of the nation like? How are things working with us? Now, what's your role in making sure that the wheel of progress is kept in proper rhythm? Not depending on who is at the top alone, can depend on the one at the bottom as well. Each person has a contribution to make. How are you making your contribution? We've discussed so many things on Soni Irabor Live in recent past, especially considering the fact that we have had about 10 or more editions since April the 1st when we started this program on Lagos television, and we'll continue to do that. Now, another thing is, for those of you who want to see more of our past editions, we are on YouTube, and just type in that name, Soni Irabor Live Show, and you'll get it on YouTube. And it will come. You'll see all the editions you may have missed and you want to see, and the great names that have been on this program that you also want to view. Talking of which, I have another great name in the studio tonight. And before I even do that, let me just take you back a bit. Are we a part of the solution, and are we enforcers of change, or are we simply bench warmers in the game? Now, what game are we talking about? The game of nation building, development, and other things. The federal government has announced the plan to disburse $322 million Abacha loot to the poorest Nigerians. The plan for this will be announced on the 28th of this month. And can we accurately define a poor Nigerian? Who is a poor Nigerian? You probably want to ask. Then also, images of the ghastly motor accident on the Ojuelegba Bridge, which showed recently that an overloaded vehicle, is it capsized or turned over, and the contents dropped on the vehicles below the bridge. And people were killed, lives were lost, and people severely injured. Now, why should this happen? 3 years consecutively. And in the same bridge, where there's been a ban on it. Then the issue of SARS. We'll discuss SARS. That's the, what's the name of, what's SARS again? Special Anti-Robbery Squad. And people have been complaining about how they've behaved and have not behaved. But tonight, our guest is an ex-investment banker, a politician, public commentator, and his name is Sonny Iroche. I don't want to say chief, mister, or whatever other doctor's titles he has, but he's here in the studio, and he's going to discuss with us on this whole issue. Mr. Iroche, thank you for coming to the program.
You're welcome, sir.
I'm going to try to bring out some of the things you've done. You've been an executive director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria from 2013 to 2017. Before joining TCN, you worked as the economic advisor to Abia State government and headed the Treasury and Financial Services, Century Merchant Bank Limited, and assistant general manager, corporate banking, and head foreign exchange, International Merchant Bank. And you were managing director, Mortgage Concept Savings and Loans, Lagos. You've been everything. You once contested in the primaries in Abia State against Orji Uzor Kalu. You're also a politician.
Many years ago. Yeah.
Many years ago. All right. Having said looked at all of these things, where do you think Nigeria stands in all of this, especially from the areas that we have itemized?
As we move on to the 2019 elections,
yes.
That will be a defining year for Nigeria.
Okay.
We have to put our best foot forward. We have to put our best candidates forward. They have to tell us what they have done in the past that will give us the likelihood to vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Nigeria is yet to achieve its God's ordained potential as a potentially great country.
Okay.
I hear people say this great country. No, I don't agree with that. We are not there at all. We are not yet there. A whole lot of work needs to be
But
done.
you are saying this potential of getting there is there?
The potential is there, clearly it's there.
Okay.
You can even see from our football
Okay.
that
Yes.
if you work hard, if you prepare hard, there is no longer a nation built on wishful thinking. No fairy mother will come with a shipload of goodies to drop for Nigeria. There are so many nations in the world, about 160-something nations in the world, all looking for foreign investments in their country.
Yes.
And foreign investment will only go to where it is nurtured, kept, respected. And a lot of foreigners say to you, there's no point you coming to America or coming to Europe or coming to UK to tell us to come and invest in Nigeria. We already have ambassadors there. We already have our foreign nationals doing business in your country.
Yes.
Who will give a testimony of how good you have treated them or how bad you have done. The ease of doing business. There are so many things to consider before coming to a country to invest. But having said that, I identify great potentials in this country, but then we have serious issues, serious challenges. We have infrastructural challenges.
Okay.
We have the issue of power. We have the issue of security.
Power, with your
Yes,
experience,
of
we have
course.
that. Okay, yes.
Issue of security, and the issue of ease of doing business at our wharfs, at our airports, all the entry points, where you import from. Even when you are exporting out of Nigeria, there are several challenges. So we should get there by putting the right people in the right places that will make change to happen, real change.
Yeah. Okay. Right people in the right places. Who are the right people? What are the right places? How do you determine who becomes where, what, how? I mean, when? Those are questions that it appears the instrument for judging who is right or wrong is not that much in place, is it?
I agree with you because a lot of people we respected, in quote, have gotten into positions either in private or public sector and have disappointed. You know, the issue of the banks that that couldn't pass the straight test. People that you think were people of integrity, falling short of what is expected. Then again, to identify good people, we all come from villages in Nigeria. In the community, we know the good and the bad people. Let us start from the grassroots.
Okay.
From the local government, we should know who our local councillors are. We should know who our local government chairmen are. And I do not buy the idea of people being armchair critics and criticizing the politics.
Okay.
I am a gainfully employed Nigerian.
Yes.
The allure of politics is, for me, it's not about making money. It's about service. It's about delivery. There is no, I always say to Nigerians, there is no Nigerian way of flying a Boeing 747.
It has to meet
There
the
is
same
always
standard.
exactly a
Yes.
proper way. When we say there is a Nigerian way of doing things, no, you will crash. If you do things the Nigerian way, there is only the proper way of doing things.
That sounds like an indirect way of admitting that we're so flawed, we cannot change for the better. Nigerian way, African time. Is that what you're trying to say?
I believe that we can change given the right leadership, leadership by example. When you see your local government chairman behaving properly, not misappropriating the commonwealth, given at that level, because the local government should be the lower rung of governance that impacts directly on the lives of the common man in the community. The ward level, local government, then the state governors, the state government. A lot of emphasis are laid on federal government. What about the state governors? You see someone who hardly could rub two coins together, becomes a governor, all of a sudden starts spending, start living life, large life, flying in private jets, and using the so-called security votes for personal gains, doing things that do not impact on the lives of the common man. You see some governors, where I come from, erecting statue of some presidents that have no relevance to
Even
the
in
life
their
of their
countries.
of the state. So we know the good people, we know them in the communities, but again, the effect of hunger, what some people call stomach infrastructure, have made people to sell their conscience to the devil, to sell their votes to mediocres. And like I always say, in Nigeria, we place a premium on mediocrity at the expense of meritocracy.
Oh, wow. And on that very strong note, we will want to let you know that we'll take a short break now and continue thereafter. We'll be right back.
The Lagos State government has assured homeowners using boreholes that it has not authorized any staff or agent to close down any borehole in the state. The general public is hereby advised to report any such person to the nearest police station or dial these toll-free lines 767 or 112. Ministry of Information and Strategy, announcer.
Welcome back. Sonny Irabor Live, dealing here with our guest, who is also Sonny Iroche. And we started looking at followership, leadership, and stomach. I heard that phrase, stomach infrastructure, hunger. How do the people even get what to eat? And when they do get what to eat, do they share it? Do they spread it? And how do they carry through? Okay. Now, do you think we are putting the funds? No, that funds, not yet. We haven't reached that stage, sorry.
Okay.
Do you think we are looking at how the nation can carry itself to the level of 1, merit, 2, discipline, 3, integrity, and common good? How can we achieve all of these?
The fabric of a society starts from the family.
Okay.
If the family is dysfunctional, the society would go that way. So it is important that family values are enhanced and family values are entrenched in our families.
Okay.
Of course, in every society, you always have deviance. And Nigeria is not the only country in the world. We are not the only people in this world. Generally, we are loud people, generally, because we can get away with heinous crimes that are committed by the so-called office holders. I will not call them leaders. They are office holders. They just get there, not by anything of hard work or by any merit. They just get there, but the Nigerian way, that, like you say, not based on any merit. And when they get there, they start misbehaving. Then the younger ones see them as possible role models. During the launch of the...
So that makes the younger ones think that that's the way of life.
They think that's the way. When you and I were growing up, discipline was a communal thing.
Yeah.
Your neighbors, their father will cane you and tell you when you go home, tell your father that Mr. Iroche flogged you because you were misbehaving. Then when you get home, your parents will give you double whammy for being a disgrace outside.
Yes.
But here, we have seen situations where public office holders, senior Nigerians, go to secondary schools to flog teachers.
To flog their own children.
Their own children.
Yes.
A case happened where a parent went with a pair of scissors to cut the hair of a female teacher for having the effrontery for cutting his daughter's hair in school, because the daughter wasn't supposed to do some of these attachment or whatever.
Used to call them those things, yeah.
Permutation, whatever they call them. You know, so we used to have communal discipline.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Yaba. The kids belong to the community.
Yes.
You dare not misbehave because
and you will know
everybody's watching you.
whose child is
It's
where,
yes.
you know, at any time. Yeah, when.
And those days, what made you an example in the neighborhood was academics,
True.
was sports, was the way you dressed, was your mannerism. We all wanted to be like the good people that were our seniors in primary school, those who left primary school. I went to Ladilak, Yaba. Those who went to King's College, Government College Umuahia, Afikpo, Igbobi College. Those were our role models. But today, you see the half-baked illiterates who become governors, who can, who didn't go to school, but just get there. And these students see them as role models. You know, in the East where I come from, there's a drop in male registration for school. Because they say, why go to school when I can get there by cutting corners? And it happens not only in my state, all over the country. They want to cut corners. No nation can be built on the backbone of mediocrity. And again, you want to even see that this, our constitution also encourages it. When you place a lot of emphasis on federal character in terms of admission to secondary school, where a child from Lagos State, Oyo, Edo, Abia, Imo, Anambra State must score like 80.
Point of
80.
entry, yes.
Whereas a child from the so-called educational disadvantaged states, Yobe, Zamfara, will get into the same school with 12-15%. What kind of doctors do you think they will produce from such a system that emphasizes merit?
How do you equate the balance or upgrade the balance to come to be at par? Is there a possibility for that to work?
Well, in the country, the system we are running now places a premium on mediocrity. And those people with these low marks will come out one day and join the federal structure and start bossing those who had superior grades. Then your kids will ask you, Dad, why is it so? Why will I score 90% and so on?
That creates a mismatch.
It creates a mismatch.
How can you address or redress it?
People have been talking about restructuring the federal government, a return to the pre-1966 structure, before the first coup took place and converted Nigeria to a unitary country. By restructuring, I'm not just bandying the word because everybody talks about restructuring. I remember clearly that in the Eastern region, Dr. Okpara, as Premier of Eastern region, built infrastructure and had what we call farm settlements. Ulona Farm Settlement South, Ulona Farm Settlement North, tailored after the Israeli kibbutz system, whereby you grow everything, you have a plantation, you grow palm, you grow cashew nuts. Okpara built Eastern region, and Eastern region and Western region were competing.
So there was competition which created room for quality.
Room for quality.
Okay.
For improvement.
Yes.
I will also had the farm settlement system, which they borrowed from the Israelis.
Yes.
And don't forget also that Malaysia came here in, I think it was 1963, and took the palm kernel from Nigeria. And today,
from Naifo in Benin, actually.
Yeah, from Naifo. Today, Malaysia is a major exporter of palm oil, whereas we are importing palm oil.
So what you are saying, in essence, should I then say it sounds like the American model, where you are recognized for what you know best how to do?
Yes, the American
Not
dream.
necessarily the academics.
Well, our level of development first presupposes that, well, get the academics first. The discipline of going to school, of writing exams, the discipline of passing, right? No, I don't think anybody is born a dunce. It's all about discipline and hard work.
And exposure to some form of education.
Okay. I will talk about America, which we copy. Yeah. Or is it to say, okay, we are a federal republic of Nigeria
without really following their
wrongly
properly?
Yes, before our soldiers were brigadier, we copied brigadier was the British system, copied brigadier general. Why can't we copy the true federalism of America? You say in Nigeria, they say a first lady is celebrating, all the governors' wives will carry themselves and go to Abuja. Donald Trump or Michelle Obama will not call any governor's wife to come and dance with her in Washington, D.C.
So it's about recognizing importance of not just quality that we'll be talking about, but more like where lies your responsibility? Where lies the role you're supposed to play in enforcing that responsibility?
Sure.
All right. We'll be back very, very shortly. We're going on a second break. And when we come back, we'll now go into the other areas, the financial side, the sporting side, and all of that. We'll be back.
Make your event a memorable one with captivating and well-organized event center at Lagos Television's prestigious Blue Roof with a capacity of more than 3,000 seats and a fully air-conditioned 750 seats combo hall capacity. Suitable for annual general meetings, government functions, exhibitions, religious activities, wedding ceremonies, burials, musical show, and many more in a well-secure environment. Spacious car park, uninterrupted power supply, and impeccable facilities. Take advantage of all of these at affordable rates.
For inquiries, please call 0808-252-8742 or 0802-282-9898.
Lagos Television Event Center, a tasteful event center for your delight.
Yeah, again, we had talked earlier about $322 million loot. The federal government, they said they got it, and so they intend to give it to the poorest Nigerians. That sounds like a good move.
Well,
how will that be dispensed? Do you know?
Is it only 300 from what source?
$322 million. That would say this call it the Abacha loot.
Was Abacha the only one who looted?
Well, that's the one they got.
I think
They
they
have
should.
got so back so far.
Okay, let's talk about whatever they've collected, the so-called loot. A democracy has building blocks and institutions.
Yeah.
There is a Ministry of Health and Social Development, or is it Sports, Youth and Social Development?
Yeah. True.
There is no point recreating agencies here and there, like a firefighting situation.
Okay.
If you have extra budgetary revenue, like the loot, you should channel it through the established institution. There's no point creating like you are having a new pit here, for instance. If you think the civil service has failed you, then you do something about it. You don't go and create another body just because you think the institution that's supposed to run some of this social welfare to the poorest people is not up to its game. So I believe that must be structure, and society must be built around institutions and structures, not on personalities. Not now get one strong man, say, okay, this man is going to be the chief executive of a loot collection. Use the already established institutions to disburse these funds and make sure there are checks and balances.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. From past records, does that appear to have worked? Checks and balances trickling down to the grassroots. Has that really been effective? Or you are saying there should be a better way of showing that whatever comes, like this loot we're talking about, must be channeled to the various platforms to the lowest cadre?
The various inefficiencies that we've had in our country over time, based on 1, indiscipline, 2, corruption, 3, no enforcement of law and order. If, for instance, the developed economies have no rule of law and punishment for crime, the whole place will go berserk.
True.
The whole place will go berserk. Once they took power in New York, there was looting and there was mayhem for the few hours that power went out in New York. In Nigeria, of course, we have a power failure and it doesn't happen that way. But people get away with heinous crime and corruption in this country. And when there is no punishment, there is no deterrence from other people. People who look at them and say, well, Mr. Lagbaja did this, Mazin Bojikwe did that, and he got away with it. Nothing happened to him.
And so others will now be forced to
others will follow.
copy wrongly.
And again, when you serve, you've been a commissioner before in government. I have served in government, both at state and federal level. You'll be shocked. Some people say, what did you bring for us? What did you get from government? They expect you to go there to steal.
True.
So the whole society needs to be retooled.
So the restructuring and the checks and balances are the issues you are looking at now.
Yes.
It must be, the instruments of enforcement must be
there.
there. And so they must be given that power of execution.
They have the power.
But they
It's
don't
the
execute
will.
it.
Yes, it's the will. And they themselves are probably in this whirlwind of
We have a call. Hello. Good evening. Hello. Okay, let's go.
I lost it.
Yeah.
You see? So what I'm saying is that if President Buhari can carry out his campaign, his anti-corruption campaign, to the letter, to the fullest,
Yes.
no sacred cows, no friends, no foe. If you foul the law, you face the law. And again, you have separation of power. You have the executive, you have the judiciary, and you have the legislative arm of government.
Yes.
The judiciary must opt his game, its game, and the judiciary should also be empowered and encouraged by those that fund them.
True. True.
They should be encouraged.
Okay. So passing it to the way the president has said it now, all he needs to do is actually channel it through the appropriate
Institutions, established institutions. Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there a way of looking at discipline in terms of road usage, obeying rule of law, and ensuring that even the agencies that are of enforcement are given the power to really truly operate without any iota of interference? I'm coming with this question because of the so many number of times where we had accidents on the bridge, an avoidable accident.
Sure.
For example, a truck that passes through any road whatsoever must have a maximum. Okay, hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Hello. Yeah, we are not talking about the sharing.
We're not talking about what? Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I was talking about the vehicle and how it must obey certain maximum load before it can even ply any road. That doesn't seem to happen. And in 3 years, the same type of accident has occurred on Ojuelegba Bridge 3 times. And now the Lagos State government has put a final order banning such trucks from passing the bridge.
Most of these trucks.
Hello.
I'm calling from Akwa Ibom State.
Akwa Ibom, how are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Yes. Good evening. Go ahead.
Okay. Please, though I just tuned my television set now.
Yes.
Then I did not know really the topic, but I want to say something about the social investment.
Yes.
This N-Power issue. The contribution is that the federal government should not just train people for 2 years and dump them. They should engage them for a lifetime job so that they will be able to contribute positively to the growth of the nation.
Okay. Well, that's a straightforward point. Somehow it falls into some form of relevance.
Yes.
Because if the federal government sends people for training for 2 years, then they should come back and be engaged.
Yes.
What's your comment to that?
That's true. But the government has its limitation of employment.
Okay.
As far as some analysts are concerned, the federal establishment is already overbloated. There's also the private sector that should also be encouraged through government policies to increase productivity. And once productivity is increased, there'll be room for employment.
Okay.
But there's so much pressure on government.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
How are you?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm fine, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I'm Joy from Aja.
Okay.
So you were talking about the SARS. Do you think they should bring an end to SARS movement?
SARS. Okay. Yes, that was there during the introduction. You want end, or do you want it to? What do you want about SARS? What do you really understand about SARS? Their service appears
they need
important.
To end it right now. They've been harassing innocent Nigerian youth.
Oh wow! You want it ended, even though they're supposed to be anti-corruption, anti-robbery squad, special anti-robbery
Yes.
squad. But you know there's
Yes,
robbery,
more
a lot of
like
robberies
now.
around. Okay, all right, thank you. She says SARS should end. That has changed our direction a bit, but let's take it up. What is
The same Nigerian problem of indiscipline.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are charged with protecting innocent law-abiding citizens take the law into their hands, and at times I hear some of these officers are drunk on
duty.
Yes.
And
so,
that's a taboo, really.
Exactly. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. Complaints that they are reeking of alcohol, and they themselves are a law unto themselves. It is this big man syndrome in Nigeria. When you put a gate man to man a gate, he automatically sees himself as very important because of the impunity he sees all over him, around him. Then the SARS people are not external creatures. They are Nigerians who have seen abuse of office by their superior officers, perhaps, and who have seen impunity in several places.
But the only check and balance is discipline.
Yes, that's it.
And if somebody is found wanting in a role he's supposed to play and he's not doing it well, he should face the consequence.
Yes, and again, it brings us back to what I've been talking about, removing operations from the institution that has been established. There's a Nigerian police force, train them. You don't have to give them any special name. Train them. If they are robbery department, anti-robbery department, so be it, train them and monitor them. Monitor them. There must be a superior officer in charge of a certain seniority in the police that will monitor them.
To buttress your point, even the American government is having problem with this.
Yeah.
You know, the police-citizen relationship, a lot of fatalities involved in the way, especially the racist, undertones that goes with it.
Racist dimension.
But they're trying to contain it. Yeah. Instead of our people saying, scrap it, what should government be asked to do?
What government should do, the police authority, they have a commission, police service commission, is to train these people very well. You saw the TV program on one of the stations that showed the police academy in Ikeja.
Yeah.
That's like, when you train people in such a rat hole, in such a demeaning environment, what kind of human beings do you think you make out of them?
Whoa. There's a lot of work to be done.
A lot of work needs to be done. It's true, you know.
Now back to the discipline of road usage, heavy trucks, bridges killing people.
Yes.
Trucks from bridges.
Most
killing
of
people.
these trucks that fall off the bridges usually are container carrying trucks.
Yeah.
And when you also see the number of container carrying trucks that put their dead weights on the bridges.
Yes, we can. Good evening.
I want to contribute to the program.
Yeah, can you speak louder, please?
I said I want to contribute to the program.
Go ahead. I can hear you.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Concerning the, what do you call it? The stars.
Yes.
Actually, I can see that their performance is good. Because they used to embarrass a lot of people outside.
Okay.
A lot of people were going on the road, the staff just stop some of them, and they arrest them and they take them to station. And before we know, some of them will be there for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, at times for a week.
Okay.
And they have a situation whereby someone was arrested, and the person was handcuffed, both hand and leg, and the person was there for about 2 weeks, which is bad. So to me, I think the federal government should find a solution to that. If they cannot eradicate that, I think the best thing for them is to find solutions to their performance.
All right.
And two, about the corruption, anti-corruption. Actually, the federal government is trying. But one thing that is sure is that the Buhari government is not really, it's not really trying to meet, because we have some people, we have PDP members, APC members. Those APC members, I've not seen some of them that the federal government actually announced their name. Two, and we have some people who are PDP members. So once you cross to APC, the federal government or the Buhari government, will not, there is nothing they will do. I will give you an example. Like Muslim Abanikoro, when
Okay,
he was under
you said,
the-
sorry, hello, let me stop you there. You said you were not mentioning names and you went back on your word.
Okay,
So I
let
would
me-
love
let
you
me-
to
I will
stick
stop that.
to the
No,
rule
but
of,
okay, I understand
you know,
what you are saying.
processes.
I understand.
So your
Don't worry.
final contribution,
So
please.
the next Buhari government actually tackle corruption in a proper way.
Okay.
Not that he will pursue some people and some people will not be pursued
Okay,
for
thank
the
you.
same crime.
Right. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, now, again, because it's a broad-based discussion tonight, so a lot of contributions are coming from different angles. Just before we go on our final break, let us just look at one. Let's quickly conclude on that issue of how we should control the overloaded vehicles on bridge, and then talk about what some of the things he said.
Lagos already is a congested city. It's a mega city with Apapa and Tinkan Wharf. We also, don't forget, we also have Port Harcourt Wharf.
Yeah.
We have Calabar, we have Sapele, we have Warri
Warri.
that have been lying idle doing nothing. They
So we
ship
should
everything.
decongest.
We should decongest, start by decongesting Lagos Wharf and moving some of these ships to Port Harcourt, Calabar, Sapele, and the rest of those other places too. Because most of these containers are really going to the east and the north. So if you drop your ships in Port Harcourt or Calabar, they can have a way, you can go to the north, they can feed. So we just have to decongest Lagos. And it's destroying our infrastructure. Those lorries stay on the bridges that are not meant to carry dead weight. They are supposed to be moving vehicles, not for the next problem we have now. Those bridges will start to crack and give way. That's the next thing that we might have. I'm not a prophet of doom, but if you keep doing the wrong thing, all over you have bad results.
Okay, now we've handled 3 areas. Let's look at sports.
Yeah.
Before we conclude, Tuesday is a special day for Nigeria. Touchwood.
Yeah.
Versus Argentina.
Yeah.
You look sporty for your age. What do you expect of Nigeria?
Well, the one thing that I like about sports, particularly soccer, is the fact that it's a uniting fulcrum for Nigerians. Nobody, like the WhatsApp that went viral, nobody cared whether Ahmed Musa, who scored 2 goals, was Muslim or from Kano State, or whether Victor Moses, where he comes from, or where Ndidi. Nobody gave it. People were hugging strangers when we beat Iceland. But on the Tuesday match, prayers are not enough, because the book of James in the Bible that I read tells us that work and prayers must go hand in hand. They must go pari passu. You don't sit down and just pray and don't work hard. Every good results come from hard work. And I'm sure our players were shocked.
Hello, good evening.
The first match.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Irabor.
Good evening. Go ahead. What's your name, please?
Yes. Thank you for bringing the issue of Nigeria to fore this evening on our program.
Yes.
You see, Mr. Iroche is making so much sense here. And this country is supposed to have gone more forward than we have. But I think with such minds like he has, we will get somewhere someday. And from politics to economic and to other aspects, I think we should ensure that the country is guided or led by people of like mind. Mr. Roche, I want to celebrate you, and this is a good one.
Thank you.
This is Otumba Jakayi from Ado Ekiti.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We've been getting a lot of calls from Adokiti. Okay, yes.
Okay.
We have a few more.
As I said, sports is a unifying factor for Nigerians, and you saw strangers hugging each other, and you see we put our first 11, our best 11
Yes.
forward, and we got good results. So if we put our first 11 in every
In governance.
facet of our country,
Yes.
in governance, in politics, in economics, not people who are there in National Assembly, some of them are clowns, they are there for entertainment, you know, but it's serious business. Lawmaking is serious business. It's not for entertainment. So if we put our first 11 forward in Senate, in House of Rep, in all the government houses, in all the State Assembly, we will go places.
Yes, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
My name is Chioma. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Go ahead, Choma.
Good evening, Uncle Sonny
Good
and
evening.
Mr. Sonny Iroche.
Yes,
evening.
the two Sonnys.
Wonderful interview. I'm enjoying your show. I just want to say that the topic is the state of the nation, and what is happening right now is bad. They have been terrorizing people. I don't know what the government is doing to handle this situation. They are out of control. I want to know your take, sir. Should they be abolished? Because they are the armed robbers, in quotes. They are not protecting the citizens. Thank you.
That's a very serious one. The lady, the first caller was a lady and said, scrap them. This one is also saying, should they exist? Should they continue? What do you say?
With the barrage of complaints about SARS, I think the Inspector General of Police should look at it very, very seriously. It's a cause for concern, and he must take it very seriously. And the Police Service Commission should also look into it and take it very, very seriously, because taxpayers' monies go to pay the SARS officers. Taxpayers' monies go there to equip them to buy arms for them. It is our money that they are using to terrorize us, if that's the case.
Okay. On a final note, you did not conclude on Nigeria-Argentina. Just 1 minute.
Okay,
Because we're running out
Nigeria and Argentina, I know we're going to beat them. Write it down. We're going to beat them
Amen to that.
2-1. We're going to beat them, and we're going to celebrate. We're going to qualify and go to the round of 16. I'm a football lover, and I wish our boys the very best. They work hard, and I will pray for them. Nigerians are on their knees, and they have to go and do their own work and make us proud.
All right. And on that note, very hopeful and friendly note, I want to say thank you for being with us, Mr. Sonny Iroche.
Thank you very much, my namesake.
And yes, those at home and those who are called from all parts of Nigeria, the world, thank you so much. We will just continue to better the course so that you have quality from this station. And join us on YouTube. We are on YouTube. You can always watch this all over again. Soni Irabor live show. That's what it is. Good night now. Next week is another date. Bye-bye.